Good morning, everyone. My name's Kerry Duval, the Warrior Queen. Today, I'm joined by my husband and the newest warrior to join us, Jason Bishop, the Addiction Warrior. See you after this. Morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning. How are we, guys?
Wow. How long you got?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Are you two going to behave now? Because before we went live, you two weren't behaving.
Of course.
I'll
Always.
think about it.
Always.
Can I consider it?
No. You have to behave yourself, Adam.
I'll think about it.
Otherwise, I can just kick you out of the video. I can do it.
Just get on with the show.
Yeah. Right. Well, we're going to talk about communication. Why is communication important? Adam, you first.
Oh, come on. Well, it is, isn't it? Because we're victims of that, aren't we, Kerry? Where we was lack of communication through all this, as people say, pandemic, and we took plans to actually separate for good because we weren't communicating.
Yep. Yeah, and then obviously something inside you said to fight.
We need to talk.
Yeah, and obviously you asked me, we need to talk, and we sat down. I remember that night we put the kids to bed, ordered a takeaway, and just sat down and talked. I think it was beyond midnight we were up.
Yeah, we're about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning before we went to get bed.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now look at us. It worked.
Yeah, it worked, but I'm quite bold at the same time.
Yeah, well, enough about you and me. Jason Bishop, welcome to the Warriors.
Thank you very much. Marvellous. Lovely to be here, guys. Great to be here.
Yeah. No, well, you were my very first guest 7 months ago now it was.
Was it 7 months ago? Wow.
Yep. My first ever guest on the Warriors, and now you've joined me on the team.
Indeed. Yeah. Bit of a surprise, but yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah. So what's your opinion on why is communication important?
Well, we must communicate. When we don't communicate, we assume, don't we make it up. Causes a lot more issues in our lives. You know, we talk about communicating, I think, but maybe we never do. And talking about it is one thing, but actually conversing with each other, telling each other how we feel, agreeing with each other, disagreeing with each other, but at least getting it out there and discussing it, at least you can bring it to some sort of resolution, whatever that may be. Yeah. But if you don't do that, then it just escalates.
Yeah.
I think it gets worse and worse and worse, and to the point where you may not be able to resolve it. And you're suffering. The other people involved are potentially suffering. So everyone's suffering, while we're all blaming the other person for not communicating. Yeah, but we don't look at ourselves and say, well, nor am I.
Yeah.
Definitely. At the very least, when we open a dialogue, then we can move things forward. And it doesn't really matter what it is, does it? Whether it's in your family life, romantic, business, anything, we must communicate.
Yeah.
We can't just assume that other people are going to know what we are thinking about a situation, which, something that may be actually happening or what we're making up. It doesn't matter. But the one thing is for certain, things can and only will deteriorate when we don't talk about it.
Yep, definitely. So obviously, the most important word that we can say to somebody is "How are you?" Because obviously, those three words can mean the world to somebody and can kickstart a conversation, even a brand new relationship if you say them to a stranger. So, is there any advice that you would give to somebody who is bottling them up, trying to and encouraging them to talk? We'll start with you, Jason.
Well, I think I've touched on this subject. We must talk. We must find somebody that we trust to talk to. And if we don't have that person immediately available, if you like, then we must talk to somebody on the other end of a telephone line. Yeah, where there's no connection, if you like.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that potentially that we'll talk to somebody, and we won't, where we might be offloading, sometimes we might be doing it because we want them to resolve our issues, which is kind of not what we need to be doing. But if we are bottling things up to the point where we can't cope, we have to talk to somebody, but it's got to be constructive. Because when I was drinking and I was talking to my friends who were drinking, what we were doing was just reinforcing the beliefs that we all had about life, the people in it, the situations that we found ourselves in, which isn't really helpful. Although you're offloading all this energy and all this stuff you're suppressing, which is not healthy, because we'll become unwell. If we continue to do that, we'll just become unwell, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're drinking or not. But if you've got somebody around you that doesn't want to in some way challenge you by asking you some questions, which we've got to be prepared to accept. Yeah, so we don't want to be dismissed. But if somebody comes and says, well, why do you feel that way? Well, not so much why, but what makes you feel that way? Yeah, and you can have that dialogue with somebody where you're just trying to find out why you feel the way you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts that ball rolling where then you're more open to more dialogue about it, because you'll start not overthinking but thinking about things. Yeah, which leads to you being open to more conversation.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
Yeah. See, I agree with Jess completely, and it is important to speak out, especially with men, because the biggest stigma is surrounding men's mental health and men's communication. Because you get all these men saying, man up, stop feeling sorry for yourself. All that, that's part of the problem. And the main problem with it is lack of understanding. And when you're coming across people that have that, it's like you have to question who, if you can't open to them, who can you open up to?
So do you think it's a lack of understanding? Or
I'd say yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you think there may be an aspect of the people that we may talk to who have got the facade that kind of show us that they've got this wonderful life, it's triggering them, or they may be going through something similar and just not want to tell us about it? Yeah, and call it, oh, just man up. What's the matter with you? I remember I'm showing my age now, but years ago, just fucking with David Travis, right? And you know that music he used to play, and there was some guy on there, and it was years and years ago, and he said he told a workmate about his wife was abusing him. Yeah, I think she was beating him up or something, and his mate told all his mates in work. Yeah, and he said, right, so obviously what he's done, he's gone to a person that wasn't the right person to talk to. But I think this thing of this facade that we have that we can deal with anything. Yeah, we're really hidden behind that is, oh no, that's too close to where I am. So I'm not sure if it's so much a lack of understanding. It could be a lack of a want of one. But I think because of the way we all project this thing that, oh, everything's wonderful, mate. I don't know what's wrong with you. It's easier for us to push away and say, oh yeah, not for me.
Yeah, it is. It is easier for people to say no, not interested, and not be involved in that conversation. But then we want to encourage people to get involved in that conversation, because mental health can affect anybody at any time. It doesn't discriminate. And obviously this week it's Time to Talk Day. Adam, when is that?
Thursday. But yeah, again, it's every day. It's every day.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and that's what we want to touch on. And this is why I set up this show today, to talk about the importance of communication, to sort of link up with Time to Talk Day. Because obviously it is something that we do have to promote all the time. Because, and I don't know about YouTube, I've heard the saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. So if you've got a problem, opening up to somebody, you might find that you find the solution to that problem through talking to somebody. I mean, I know from personal experience, bottling things up is never the way to go. Talking to somebody and offloading can actually be really beneficial to you. Go on, Jason, what was you going to say?
No, as long as you're talking to a person you trust, you don't expect to solve your problems for you. I quite agree with you. Yeah. Because if you share it, I've done this myself. When you hear it, you think, oh, as opposed to just going round in your head. Yeah, it comes across as different to you. So when you talk to somebody else that doesn't judge you, this is why I'm saying, somebody you trust, somebody that won't judge you. Don't just assume you can talk to anybody about it, because you won't enjoy it when somebody does just dismiss you.
Yeah, definitely.
So 100% about talking, but don't put yourself in a situation where then you get rejected, so then you don't do it again, because this is what I did.
Yeah.
And that's highly detrimental. So it's in many ways then, it's better to get on the phone and just talk to somebody you don't know, but just talk.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously great phone lines out there, like the first one that pops into my head is Samaritans. It's a 24/7 helpline. You can ring up and you can just, even if you just want to rant about your day, just to offload and help your mental health that way. There's a person on the end of the phone that will listen to you and will talk to you and will have a conversation with you, and you won't get judged for that, because they are there to listen and they don't get paid. It's a completely free, voluntary service.
Well, having somebody to listen is the most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because even if you even if you're with your partner, whatever, they'll have their opinion and they'll start telling you what they think. You think, well, hang on, I didn't come here for that. Yeah. When my friend said, oh, it's just the drink. If it was just the drink, I wouldn't have been there telling him about it. Yeah. And then you feel, oh, right, okay, you just push me away. I'm not in any way, obviously, it's highly important we communicate with somebody. Yeah. And it's highly communication on every level, even when we don't feel we have anyone to talk to. We must talk. Yeah, we must talk. Yeah. But when it comes to somebody a little bit closer, just choose wisely.
Yeah. So would you say, because we always get that saying where people may not be ready to talk, but after really thinking about it, I'm like, I don't think they are. I think they are ready to talk, but they're living in that fear bubble where they're being feared of being judged, criticised, and stuff like that.
Well, I think if you look at it in the real world,
yeah,
as I've just said about all the facades and all, right, everyone is just showing everyone else they've got a wonderful life and they have no issues.
Yeah,
but that's not real life.
No,
that is not how it works. On different levels, everyone has something going on in their lives. Yeah. So the whole fear factor is what you're making up in your head about what they're going to think about what you're going to tell them. Yeah. So, and society is dictated, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. And obviously going back to people putting this I'm gonna say fake images out. You know, like for example, the new trend at the moment is having this spotless Instagram ready show home. You know, and people put pictures and videos of their homes being spotless and clean, and it's like other people don't have that. Other people don't want that and don't have the energy to do that. Personally, I'd hate to have a house like that because it would stress me out. I'd find a single crumb and I'd have to clean the whole house. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care.
See what I got to live with, Jason.
Personally, each to their own on that one. You know, but then it sends a message out that you're not good enough to have something like that. And that can affect mental health. And that can actually stop a person from reaching out for help because they think they're not good enough because their homes don't look like that. So nobody's going to take them seriously because their homes don't look like that. So no one's going to care.
But you've said it numerous times there, they think.
Yeah.
They think.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
We really do have this terrible habit of comparing ourselves to others.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're not good enough because we don't have what they have, and that's something that really must stop.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously in that situation, when you think I've not got what they've got, and if I try and reach out and communicate with them, they're not going to take me seriously. It's that fear of being judged. So you're being judged for the way you look, the way your house looks, or you're being judged with what you're going to share with them.
See, I've always said that if people are rock bottom or they're depressed one day, which we all get down from time to time, if you just want to wake up in the morning and just get up and make your bed and then that's it, that's good. That's one step in the positive direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I recently gave somebody advice. She'd put a status on about feeling down, feeling depressed. And I said to her, it might sound stupid, but if you can do that one job in the morning, get up and make your bed, it can set you up for a positive day. So
yeah, it's a strange one. I think when we're in that place, I agree. Yeah, there's depressed and then there's depression.
Yeah,
very different things. Because I'm depressed. Life does this. Yeah, we have bad days. We have good days. If we use those words, right? Some days are tougher than others. Then, yeah. But yeah, if you can start thinking, well, I am going to do that. I'm going to do that thing that I don't necessarily really feel like doing. Then it does start setting you up for a better day, rather than just rolling over in bed and saying, "Oh, I just can't be bothered."
Yeah, and we've all had those days. I mean, personally, even me, I've rolled over. I'm like, I don't want to be an adult today. I don't want to get out of bed. But then I've told myself, no, I have to get out of bed. If I can make my bed or get dressed, I'll be okay.
Kerry, life is a choice.
It's not coffee morning without me being shouted at.
It's a choice, but it is though, because people are very unaware that every action we take is a choice, and we always look for the easy option, which is the negative side in it, instead of the positive. It's that simple. Like you said, you get up, you do a job, and that's make your bed. Don't see it as a job. See it as an achievement and acknowledge it. Then if you want to just get back in bed and then after you made it, fine, do it.
You don't have to make your bed. You can make yourself something to eat when you don't want.
Well, yeah.
Because I mean, when you're in those spaces and places, I can't be bothered with food. And what we're doing is we're just, the cycle is just getting worse and worse.
That vicious cycle.
Yeah. Yep. So we're not drinking fluids, water. We're not hydrated. We're not eating nutritional foods. So we're not fueling our body. Right? We're not sleeping properly. Because I'd kind of be up all night myself, right? And then just as I'd be like nodding off to sleep, it was time to get up. And I just couldn't be asked. And then it was like, well, I'm not going to work. And there were numerous reasons for that, which is not what we're talking about. But I wasn't eating. So you're sliding down this slope, and then everything gets more and more difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you feel like doing less, and most people will say, I didn't want anything to eat. They will have something.
Even if it's just a piece of toast.
Something.
Yeah.
Just go and make yourself a cup of tea. If you drink half of it, and something to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all these feelings of I'm this and I'm that. You think, well, no, I've just got up and I've done that.
Yeah.
And it's so basic, and yet it's a positive. And to many people, they think, what are you talking about? But when you're living in that world, it's not. That's really positive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bringing the conversation back to communication, because we don't want to go too much into the bad days and everything like that in case we trigger somebody, and that's not what we want to do. So bringing it back to communication within families, so between two family members or a parent and child. I want to talk about why is it important the way we communicate with our kids. We'll start with you, Jason.
Oh.
Well, family member for you.
At what age?
Any age.
Any age. I mean, of course, right? I mean, it's highly important, isn't it? The things that we say to our children, they have no analytical mind. So whatever we say is going to be taken on board, which will affect them for the rest of their lives, unless they're aware of it. So we must be careful what we say. We must be careful when we're arguing and we think, oh, the children are in bed. There's more going on. They know what's going on. This is still communication. We don't explain things to children because they're only children. Yeah. And as then when we're going through our teens or they're teenagers, and we tend to think, I hear a lot of, oh, they're going through that stage. Yeah. And we don't communicate. We don't, my parents are pretty good at saying, ask us anything. Anything you don't know, you hear, come back, ask us, we'll try and help you understand it. And yeah. But then when things went off the rails a bit, we didn't communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really important to have that whole relationship where it is easy to communicate right the way through and feel comfortable with talking to your children and your parents. Because we didn't communicate until, I think, all through my 20s and 30s. I wouldn't say we were communicating. Not really. It's only now that we really sit, my mum and my dad and myself, and we talk. And we have talked about things, and sometimes my father is like, oh, because we never talked about it. But I'm not blaming him. We never communicated, right? I moved out when I was talking about it yesterday. I moved out when I was 21 first, because me and my father were fighting, physically fighting. And from there, it went downhill. Yeah. And then we never really communicated with each other. Not on any level. Like me and my father are friends now, real good friends. I think if you can take that right the way through your life with your children and your parents, it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
It'll always be there, and it doesn't matter. Like my sister speaks to my mother every day. She lives in London. She lived in America. They communicate. You know, the grandchildren ring my parents, and it's just an open, nice relationship where everyone kind of does things to help each other, and we all talk, and it's healthy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Adam?
Well, I think the most important thing is, before you have that communication relationship with someone, is you need to have it with yourself first. You need, as weird as it sounds, communicating with yourself is actually really important. Having that relationship with yourself, that connection, because once you know that you're strong-minded, then you can go on to work on having that connection with other people. And I believe having that relationship communication with someone compared to someone that's, for example, on the autism spectrum, it's two different types of relationships and it's difficult. But I believe now it's only difficult if you allow it to be difficult.
So this then really is heading towards acceptance, understanding.
Yeah.
And we all have different ideas, models of how the world works. So we accept that. We try and understand where somebody might be coming from. And then when they'll say something to us, you try and understand what they're saying, because it's all about how we interpret it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what you're saying, everything is about what's going on in here.
Yeah.
It's not what they're saying or not saying, because like I said, half the issue here is that we don't communicate at all.
Well, this is what I've said to Kerry numerous times, because outside this front door, I've got no family. No one. Because they didn't accept me and Kerry being together, or they didn't accept the fact that the kids have got autism. They didn't accept that. But to be honest, and I'm going to say it straight up, I don't give a shit. I don't. Because at the end of the day, my family is the most important. What?
I can't care. So I don't. I can't. You can't care.
No. No. Right. Because the most important thing to me, besides myself, is my family around me. And if I know the kids are happy, Kerry's happy, that shows that I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, it's a pecking order, isn't it? Really?
It is.
That's how it should be anyway, I think. That's just
even though Kerry's very difficult to please from time to time, if I see her smiling, I know I'm doing a good job.
Should I leave now? Go if you like.
She'll get me back after.
Yeah. No, I mean,
if you want me to kick you out, Jason.
It's important, isn't it? It's important that we understand, even if you think you know somebody, it's important that we understand how they see the world. Right? Because if we don't attempt to do that, we'll never communicate with them.
Exactly.
Because we'll just do this.
Because, and then in the long, because that's the short term impact in it. But if you think about it, the long term, you're only clashing with yourself.
Well, in my own experience, Adam, right? I found that there were a few of us that didn't communicate.
Yeah.
And with my lifestyle, as I say, because I'm responsible for it, I ended up nearly dead.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you look back on it, and then this is why I talk about talking about communicating, and that's all well and good. But, it takes more than one person to have a relationship where you communicate. Yeah. So where we will say, well, you didn't communicate, and the other person will say, well, you didn't communicate. Well, none of you were communicating. None of you had a dialogue. None of you were resolving anything. And at the end of the day, something's got to give.
Yeah.
So when I went to see my first coach, right? And he said, you were more than likely causing these people as much hassle as you believed they were causing you. And you think, well, as you say, no, we were all causing that ourselves, weren't we? I wasn't causing them anything. Right? Because none of us were communicating. Everyone was trying to force the other person to do what they wanted.
Yeah.
That's not communication.
Yeah, well, this is why, because it was actually Kerry that got it. It's because obviously me and Kerry was having a little bit of a dispute in our relationship. So, and we wanted to fix it somehow. So we tried every method and it didn't work. So she got this relationship counselling book. Fair enough, it's not for everyone, but it worked for us. And what I've learned is we have all got something called a self-esteem bank account within us. We all do. And when you're having these arguments, these tit for tats, as people say, you're attacking each other's bank accounts. That's what you're doing, because you're doing that blame game. And you have to question, what are you actually achieving when you're having them disputes? Nothing.
Yeah. No, well, Adam needs to really practice what he's preached, because
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm
going to kick her out.
I can come back later. I don't mind.
No, but the reason I say that is because, I mean, it makes a really good, valid point, that attacking another person's self-esteem bank account, but then there are a few people around us that he'll attack, but then he won't talk to them. He won't communicate with them.
I have reasons.
Oh, look, I was thinking about this earlier. I mean, this is something I was quite well practiced at, is playing that game of not talking, not communicating at all. And then it was happening in work. Yeah. And I mean, it's a very school thing. It's a very non-adult thing to do. But we'll just do it forever. And we just do. Right? Because it's a learned thing. We get our own way when we do it. I know that. Right? But what we're doing, we're attacking, really, once you drop the idea of who you are, nobody can really attack you. Right? When they attack who you think you are, then you'll take it very personally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we get into this thing of, well, I'm this guy and I'm that guy, I'm better than you, you're that, right? Oh, no, you're not.
No.
Right? And then you talk about personalities and strong-willed, all right? And then the other person thinks, well, I'm this, right? I'm strong-willed. I'll beat him. I'll beat her. Whereas when you go back to who you are, yeah, then I haven't felt like that in a very long time. I haven't felt that way when I do a video and I do a post, whatever I do, that I'm not walking around. Somebody might say something to me about what I'm doing, and it'll just go like that. It doesn't trigger me anymore.
No.
Because I'm doing it for a reason now, and it's not to do with anything outside of me. And then that's a lack of communication, because they are trying to trigger you.
Yeah.
That's not communication. That's them trying to feel better about themselves. They're not communicating.
Point scoring.
Yeah.
What is that really is about them making themselves feel better.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when we stop making it about us, right, we can communicate. We really can. But when you talk about fear, a lot of the time I didn't communicate. A lot of the time, a lot of us don't communicate, is the fear. Right? We don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to be proven wrong. Yeah. I'm saying things now that I thought I'd never say, certainly because I didn't want anyone to say, see, I was right all along, because I didn't have that right in my head. Because when you're coming from a place where it doesn't matter, I'm happy to communicate with anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Through doing the Warriors, I find that I'm communicating with people around the world. I've never met these people, but I'll be open with them and I'll talk to them and communicate about anything they want to communicate with me with, But then people who are local to me, I would never have those sorts of conversations with them. So the way we communicate with people can be because of location. So I'm happy to communicate with people I don't know, but the people around me don't know my story. And that's one of my problems.
Right. And you need them to know your story?
No. No, I put my story out on the Warriors, and if they want to know it, it's there for them. So that's just one thing with me. It's weird. I don't know.
It's a strange thing, right? I mean, Again, I was talking about this yesterday. Some people didn't talk. Now they do. Some people didn't. talked and then now they don't. And now you think, well, do you know what? It can't matter to me.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because, and I'll communicate with anybody. It really, I can't allow these things that went on in my life for such a long time to continue. I made that choice a long time ago now. Because it gets us nowhere. When we're not prepared, whatever the outcome of that communication is, I'm pretty sure, right? If we communicated, stop drinking, stop there when we would have been throwing abuse around the place, and it might have come to the point where it was like deemed that I couldn't be part of the business. So if I communicated, then it might have worked out that I couldn't be I had to sell my shares, right? You won't do it then, will you? And somebody else won't do it because they might just get found out. But when you drop all of that and just say, well, we need to talk. I need to talk. And drop the whole thing of being in fear of judgment. This is why I say somebody on the other end of the telephone line might be a really good option, because they're not going to judge you. It's not their job to judge you, right? They're going to do what they do and they're going to walk away having listened to you, right? And you've got it off your chest. You'll more than likely feel better for it. And then you might be able to open a dialogue with the person you really need to have a dialogue with. And as you say, yourself. Because if you don't open that dialogue, then you're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
You've got to start communicating with yourself and understanding yourself more.
Agreed.
The more you do that, the more able you'll be to communicate, because the closer you'll get to being who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm kind of not that we ever find that, right? But we take those layers of conditioning away and the fear goes with it.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to get away from this fear of fear of talking, and actually start to communicate more. And this is why, another reason why obviously I wanted to set up this and link it with the Time to Talk Day this week, because talking to somebody can help you so much. And obviously I know that Warriors is going to be putting a video out this week, aren't we, Adam?
Who knows?
But we have an issue with this thing of, it's all walks of life, and we all believe we are in different places and whatnot, right? Without going too deep into it. And I did a video on this. Certain things weren't for me because of where I thought I was in the world. Company director, nice cars, nice clothes, nice this, friends, wealthy people around me that, I couldn't possibly talk to people. I couldn't do that. Other people did that, not me. Yeah?
Yeah.
I think, that's just all made up.
Yeah.
So if you just say, no, I really, really need to talk, right? The first step is to talk. Then you kind of say, well, how am I going to resolve these things? But it's so highly important that we forget who we think we are, whether we think we're lowly or we think we're a god, right? It doesn't matter where you think you are in the whole thing. Drop it. Yeah. And accept that every single one of us at some point needs to talk. We cannot deal with everything on our own.
No.
Right? Me against the world is victimhood.
Yeah, I mean,
what? When I read that, I was like, what? But because you thought, I'm being strong, I'm not talking about it. I don't need to. I'll put them all on here. You think, oh,
right? I'm going to pick up on that. I'm going to pick up on that because the biggest strength of it all is opening your mouth.
Of course.
That's the biggest strength.
Yeah, right? It actually shows strength to open up and say, I need help, I need to talk. It actually shows that you're a strong person.
Yeah.
And genuinely feeling how you feel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not judging it. Right? Yeah. And accepting from that, I genuinely, really, really deeply need to talk to somebody. But what we do is we just say, I'm going to go for a drink, I'm going to go running, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Whatever your thing is. And the last thing we think of doing is actually communicating with somebody.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is why we're doing this shows. to encourage people. If you need to talk, find somebody close by, or even if it's just picking up the phone to somebody that isn't close by, that you trust. Speak to somebody.
But you don't have to go as deep. I said I never said I wanted to kill myself. I've said that, right? But I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't know what to do. And my friend looked at me and kind of went, oh, I didn't expect to hear that one. Yeah. And he said, I'd never thought I'd hear those words come out of your mouth. And I was like, well, I've had enough. I just don't know what to do. And then he went, it's the drink. It was too much. Right? Because we opened a dialogue and it, boom, there it was. Ease him into it. Yeah. I didn't say, well, I'm having a rough time, mate. And I really don't know what to do about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and obviously you're going to get those people that don't understand it.
What I'm saying there is if you do have that person that you do trust and you open that dialogue and start talking, just see where you go with it.
Exactly, because I'm in a lot of mental health groups on social medias, and when people's been posting negative posts of how they feel, you get all these comments saying, is everything okay? Are you okay? And as good as that is, I jump on it and go, but would you like to talk?
You get two things though, don't you? You get the throwaway comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, you've got this, you'll be all right. Yeah. And then you've got the, not as bad as me. Don't worry yourself.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I've seen quite a few of them, yeah.
Right. So what you really want is somebody that will say, do you know what? I will listen.
Yeah.
I will just listen to you. And then if they want to talk, you discuss it, like I say, but we must then accept that they may say something that we didn't expect to hear. But at the very least, to have that person that will say, yeah, I'm prepared to just sit here with you, get a coffee or whatever, go for a walk, and somebody that actually will take the time out to listen to you.
Yeah.
Just let you just get it out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we want to touch on, is obviously find somebody that is going to listen to you, is going to perhaps offer you some help. So maybe it is that you've never dealt with those feelings before and you don't know where to take them. And that's the first time you're opening up about those feelings. And a person says, I don't have the answers, but maybe going to speak to a mental health coach or a counsellor or your GP, something like that, signposting you to somebody at will, and says, I'll listen to you, but I think you need to go and talk to somebody else as well. That can be just as helpful.
But it's the first step, isn't it? As I said.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you won't talk to somebody on a surface level that you trust, you're not going to talk to any one of those people that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
On any level.
Yeah.
Right?
But the first thing is, before any of that happens, is that person who's in crisis, shall I say, or in that fight and flight mode, is accept that they want to open up.
Yeah.
You must do that. And I mean, and that is something from personal experience I never did.
Me too.
I never did it.
No.
I only did it after I'd been in a hospital bed for 7 weeks. I only then said, something's got to change. Yeah. Before that, I wasn't prepared to talk about change, anything, discuss it. I tried it when I was whatever I was. I can't remember how old I was. But I never did it again. Not really, anyway. It was just superficial complaining about life and people and what I wanted to do and what I was going to do. It was just venting more than talking.
Yeah, exactly.
And venting can be one thing, but a dialogue, a communication with somebody is very, very different.
Yeah. Well, one of the ways me and Adam communicate when we've got a lot on our minds is I'll say to Adam, write it down and we can work through everything, and we can sit there and we can talk about everything we've talked about. I mean, we did it over the weekend, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where I had a few things in my mind and I wrote it down, and we went through each thing on my mind and we spoke about it, and that really, really helped. So something as simple as writing it down and opening up to somebody, sharing how you're feeling, sharing what's on your mind, something as easy as that can open a communication.
You know, when we write something down anyway, yeah, it changes how it looks, feels, everything. Because we don't do that. We keep it all in here.
Yeah.
So when we look at it, then we can actually say, really? And then you think, no, really, I really do feel that. Yeah. So then you say, well, I need to talk to you about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when I wrote things down, I mean, I've wrote down, I can be writing something down and then I can go off track because a piece of a song will come into my head and I'll just write that lyric down. It sounds like chaos, but that's what's in my head at the moment. And to write it down, to have Adam read it and talk to me about it, helps me feel better. So that might be the same for somebody else. So that's one of the things I'd suggest. Write it down, share it with a partner or a friend or a family member. Maybe that helps you. Maybe it doesn't. No, it's not a one size fits all. Writing things down has only recently started helping Adam.
Well, there's one thing we need to bring up as well is as good as it is to stay positive, always remember it's actually okay to be negative as well, to feel negative. It's okay.
It's okay not to be okay.
It's when it goes on.
Continuous.
Right, and we know when it's going on, and it's going on for too long. It's really because we do have these ups and downs. That's life. That's flowing with life. It isn't going to be a bed of roses all the time.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
But when things are getting us down, when they're getting a little bit too much for us, we've got to share it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With somebody, we must share it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I'm going to end it there because right now I'm going to communicate with our viewers what else we've got coming up this week, Adam.
Empower You Tomorrow. Finally, it's back. The first episode in 2022, and Jason's going to be on it with Steve Knapp. So Steve Knapp's back.
Looking forward to it.
Last time I checked, you're going to be talking about alcohol misuse.
Well, yeah, a lot to talk about that.
Will they cover it within the hour? Who knows?
I think that's going to be over the hour mark.
Yeah. And then that's all I know for now.
But I will give a little shout out because this week we haven't got one show. We haven't got two shows. We've got 3 brand new shows starting. One of them is mine. So An Audience with the Queen starts Wednesday at 10:30. Adam?
Yep.
The other 2 shows, can you remember them?
They're in the diary, but I know Claire's got one. That's Reboot with Claire. That's Thursdays at 11 a.m. UK.
And then
Maria's is An Hour of Love. That's 12 o'clock noon UK time, Fridays.
Yep. So look out for them. Thank you, both of you, for joining us.
Yeah, excellent, guys. Enjoyed.
I'll be
yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. It's cool.
You behaved a little bit, Adam.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And next week I'm back on Coffee Morning with 2, maybe 1 or 2 very special guests. It is Children's Mental Health Week next week, so the mini warriors will be coming and taking over mental health warriors. So look out for that. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.